The world watches Ukraine. The country fights for survival. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy embodies this struggle. He recently made an urgent plea to the United States. He needs more. More military aid, harsher sanctions against Russia. The conflict escalates. The stakes are higher than ever. Zelensky's request is a defining moment. For the US, for Ukraine, for the world, Russia's aggression continues. It threatens global stability. Zelensky's plea is a cry for help. It's a call for action. The world waits to see how the US will respond. The implications are far-reaching. This isn't just about Ukraine. This is about democracy itself. It's about standing up to aggression. It's about defending freedom. The world is watching. Will America answer the call? The situation in Ukraine is dire. Cities are under siege. Civilians are suffering. Zelensky's plea is a desperate attempt to save his country. Will it be enough? The Oval Office was tense. President Zelenskyy sat opposite President Trump and Vice President Vance. The meeting was supposed to be about Ukraine's reconstruction. A joint investment fund was on the table. But the atmosphere was icy. The meeting exploded. Shouting replaced diplomacy. Trump and Vance lashed out. They accused Zelenskyy of being ungrateful. They reminded him of past US support. Zelenskyy defended his country. He argued for Ukraine's needs. The meeting ended in disarray. No agreement was reached. The world was shocked. The Oval Office blow-up sent ripples across the globe. It raised serious questions. Is America's commitment to Ukraine wavering? The meeting highlighted the deep divisions. Divisions between the US and Ukraine. Divisions within the United States itself. The future looked uncertain. Ukraine watched the Oval Office debacle unfold. Reactions were mixed. Some Ukrainians supported Zelenskyy. They praised his firm stance. Others were less enthusiastic. They worried about the potential fallout. Could Ukraine afford to alienate the US? Kiev Mayor Vitaly Klitschko voiced concern. He cautioned against burning bridges. He called for a more diplomatic approach. He feared losing US support. He urged Zelenskyy to find common ground with Trump and Vance. Social media was abuzz. Ukrainians debated the implications of the meeting. Some expressed anger at Trump and Vance. Others worried about the future. The Oval Office blow-up revealed a growing divide, not within Ukraine itself, but within the US. The world watched, wondering what this meant for Ukraine's future. Despite the Oval Office drama, many Ukrainians rallied behind their president. They understood the pressure he was under. They admired his courage. He was standing up to bullies. He was fighting for his country. Officials across Ukraine voiced their support. Oleh Syniehubov, head of the Kharkiv region, praised Zelenskyy's strength. Oleksandr Prokudin, head of the Kherson region, echoed this sentiment. Vice Prime Minister Oleksiy Kuleba commended Zelenskyy's leadership. Ordinary Ukrainians joined the chorus of support. They took to the streets, they held rallies, they expressed their solidarity. Zelenskyy was their leader, they would stand by him. The Oval Office incident had an unexpected effect. It unified many Ukrainians, it strengthened their resolve. They would face this challenge together. Section 5, a voice of caution. Kiev Mayor Vitaly Klitschko remained a dissenting voice. He understood the anger many Ukrainians felt. He too was frustrated by Trump and Vance's behavior, but he cautioned against rash actions. Ukraine needed the United States. Klitschko called for calm. He urged Zelenskyy to find a way to mend fences. He warned that alienating the United States would be disastrous. Ukraine was outmatched militarily. It relied heavily on foreign aid. Klitschko's words were a dose of realism. Klitschko's concerns resonated with some Ukrainians. They worried about the potential consequences of the Oval Office blow-up. Was Zelenskyy jeopardizing Ukraine's future by standing up to Trump? The debate raged on. Was it more important to defend Ukraine's dignity or to secure its survival? There were no easy answers. Section 6. Global shockwaves. The Oval Office blow-up sent shockwaves across the globe. World leaders were stunned. The United States, once a beacon of stability, seemed unpredictable. The future of global alliances was suddenly uncertain. NATO allies were particularly concerned. The alliance was built on a foundation of mutual trust and support. Trump's behavior called that foundation into question. Was the US still a reliable ally? The incident also emboldened Russia. The Kremlin saw it as a sign of weakness. It fueled their propaganda machine. The US was divided. The West was crumbling. Russia could exploit these divisions. The world held its breath. The future seemed precarious. The Oval Office blow-up was a watershed moment. It marked a shift in the global order. Section 7. The NATO conundrum. NATO faced a critical juncture. The alliance was formed to counter Soviet aggression. Now Russia was resurgent. But the US, NATO's leading power, was sending mixed signals. Trump's America First policy had already strained relations within NATO. His disdain for alliances was no secret. The Oval Office blow-up further eroded trust. NATO members wondered if they could still rely on the US. The situation in Ukraine was a test case. Would NATO stand united against Russian aggression? Or would the alliance crumble under pressure? The answer had profound implications for global security. The Oval Office blow-up exposed the cracks in the post-Cold War order. It raised serious questions about the future of NATO. The world watched nervously. Section 8. America at a crossroads. The United States found itself at a crossroads. Trump's presidency had been defined by isolationism and unpredictability. The Oval Office blow-up was the culmination of this trend. It exposed a deep rift in American foreign policy. On one side were those who supported Trump's approach. They believed that the US should prioritize its own interests above all else. They saw foreign entanglements as a drain on American resources. On the other side were those who believed in the importance of American leadership in the world. They argued that the US had a moral obligation to defend democracy and freedom abroad. They saw Trump's policies as short-sighted and dangerous. The Oval Office blow-up brought this debate to a head. The world waited to see which path the US would choose. Section 9. An uncertain future. The future remained uncertain. Zelensky's plea hung in the balance. Would the US step up and provide the support that Ukraine desperately needed? Or would it turn its back on a fledgling democracy facing Russian aggression? The Oval Office blow-up had created a diplomatic crisis. It would take time and effort to repair the damage. The relationship between the US and Ukraine had been deeply strained. The stakes were high. The fate of Ukraine hung in the balance. But the implications extended far beyond Ukraine. This was a test of American leadership. It was a test of the Western alliance. The world watched and waited. The future remained unwritten.